great support system to kind of peel your opponents away, but I think that Falcons, on the other hand, their form of attack is looking towards the jungle side. Hayabusa is already a pretty good ban, but also an indicator that they might want to play into a Beatrix, something a little less mobile in the gold lane.
The Gato still there too, if ever they want to add a bit more of AoE and crowd control, at least for Team Spirit. Though we aren't entirely sure for one shot, like what kind of jungle does he want to play into this kind of composition, right? Like Falcon, as far as we know, for the first 3 picks that they have, and if they complement it with 2 more early game picks, you wouldn't necessarily want to play an assassin into this kind of lineup, right?
Yeah, it's kind of tough right now, the second phase of Team Spirit. I feel like as strong as Hilda is, okay, they take away the Granger, the range of that might be unreachable. I feel like with the Alpha still on the board, it's difficult. And now if you're Team Spirit, if you were planning to surprise us all and pick up something like a Hilda in the roam, you can't do that already because of the picks that you see. And if you decide to maybe steal away the focus of Royal Milk, it's like it's already going to struggle against the first 3. So I think it's a sure thing that Falcon will really heavily consider picking up the Phobius for themselves, have the high loss in the roam, and just be like, hey, Kid X, deal with the fact that you might be slowed and poked a bunch, but don't worry, we'll back you up. And now they take out the Gods of Kacha too. I feel like the second phase for Team Spirit, Gideon, is going to be tough.
It is going to be tough, but it's not impossible to deal with, right? Hilda most likely isn't going to go into the roam support because, again, what are you going to do against Alpha, right? Yep. And I think that, honestly, Nyotra has done a very good job reading into the draft. He sees the Moskov, what do I respond with, banning out the Hayabusa, knowing that maybe they want to play Assassins as a potential jungle pick, and then looking to keep that Hilda as that flex, but I feel like they've already seen through the facade.
Yeah. Do you think Team Spirit might consider taking away the Tigreal option from Kid X here now?
I mean, if they do, and they go for a utility jungler too, like a Brethren, that'll be such a front-to-back opposition, as we've mentioned indeed, but okay, like, still serves some sort of front.
It is some sort of front, but I think the best part of it, you can at least disengage, right? Tigreal, you implosion, it's a very small area compared to a very large area, and as expected, we see the Beatrix get locked in for the side of Falcons. Now, I'm very curious about this last pick, because again, it's such a traditional composition. We've seen this many times in local MPLs, and finally the Phobius comes through. There's not a lot of dashes to work with. I'm assuming that Royal Milk is going to be taking Vengeance in this upcoming game, just so that he can kind of frontline for the team.
Yeah. And then the good thing is, I mean, there are displacers, especially the Alphas knockback with the Spear of Alpha, and well, what Jushin does with the Lantern Flare, that might help trigger the Demonic Force passive more for the Phobius, so that he can bring out the Sinner's Marks a little bit more. So maybe that's them compensating for the fact that there are a lack of dashes on the Team Spirit side.
Yeah, and it seems like they really forced one shot to either pick up the Fredrin at this point. What else is available even for one shot?
I think they might go tanky.
The Nolan or the Bane?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, no, because playing into a tank at this point, they've got true damage, they've got many ways to kind of stop you. You're not trying to hold back when you've already got a Belleric on your side. With Bane, a complete disengage, at least you have a combination with Sawa and Belleric's Wrath of the Dryads.
Yeah. Let's see if the Belleric and the Bane can do what the Matildan Bane did. It might be not as fast, but, well, it's gonna hurt.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the matchup here. Thank you to the panel, of course, for breaking down the draft. It's a jam-packed day. We've got 3, of course, best of 5s. We're starting with this one. Again, I'm Naisu, and this is Ingan, and we're here to bring you the action for match number 1. Ingan, what do we think of the draft? Again, it's some interesting picks, but we saw some of this even yesterday.
Yeah, you know, the signature of Royal Milk again with the Phobius. We all know that if Falcon starts out strong, especially for the side of Royal Milk, things could go really for their side.
Well, we're going to find out, because one of these teams will be part of the greater 4. Will the Falcons soar high, or will they be met by the Dragons of the North and cut short? Let's head into the Land of Dawn. It's game number 1, best of 5. And like we mentioned, with this lineup, the main thing that we've seen so much in comparison between teams is, again, double revitalize. And with the lineup that Team Spirit brought to the table, they're going to be looking to sustain fights, but not only that, but fight with just the area of effect that comes with this lineup. Also, real quick, everybody, again, the MSEX Pass is now available. You can grab it while you can, all the way up to the 29th of December, and reach level 75 for free by completing all the tasks. There's a ton of goodies for you guys. Claude's battle emote, the M6 Glory Avatar border, the battle emote for Baksha, and of course, Baksha's new skin, the Dauntless Shield. Now, going back to it, this is a big thing. The gold laners here for both teams are massive to the success of these teams up to this point. And this time around, Hiko, the youngest player in M6, got the Bruno, the signature pick. And like our panel mentioned, probably the best Bruno player right now in M6.
Yeah, I actually was thinking wondering if Hiko would really go for the Bruno, considering that he's going up against, probably the best Bruno in the league. But in this case, since they're red side pick, they really have to, take away the Bruno of Benny.
They got to take him away. I like the fact, too, that Hiko's going to be playing a little more defensively. He went with the tenacity here this time around, also on the Bruno. But that's the thing, you have this Beatrix, and it's kind of funny because both of them have basically switched things up, even in terms of the emblem here. But nonetheless, we've seen things work great for Falcon Esports. I mean, no one can forget the series they had against FNOP. Now for this one, first objective for the taking. First turtle's just going to be started up by Team Spirit.
Okay. Kid X using the Ring of Punishment onto One Shot, but One Shot with the Deadly Catch Retribution combination is going to secure the turtle for the side of Team Spirit, but they're going to go for more and bring down Dax. Double Revitalize is coming up. Wrath of Pride coming in from Sawa and might be able to take down Kid X, though. One more hit. X. One Shot, will he be able to do it? The Crab Claw Cannon is going to miss, but here comes Royal Milk with Infernal Pursuit. Has to flicker out.
Wow, he already flickered out, so not going to be able to actually pursue under that turret. That's fine, again, relying on the Revitalize that they had. But this is what I was saying, every single time you think about these early fights and you don't really have the damage available, Team Spirit has the upper hand just because of the fact that they can sustain through those fights and even fight around Sawa with the Belric. We've seen this pop up now quite a bit of times, but if you think about it, the Belric, when he sets up that Wrath of the Dryad and then you have this Bane available in One Shot's hands, and it's a lot of just capabilities to fight, go toe-to-toe, rely on your AoE again, and I think that's where Falcon Esports has to kind of dissect that strategy on how they want to approach the early fights, because obviously we get further in the game, then they should be able to go ahead and utilize this Jushin pick and even the Beatrix later on.
Yeah, and speaking of the team fights, rather, Sawa can actually is a good counter coming in against Benny's Beatrix. Again, the passive of the Beller is going to be crucial in terms of the return damage that they can get for the side of Team Spirit.
Okay, looking at this again, both teams just kind of getting in position. I'm wondering, too, if they want to go ahead and focus on the gold laners or just kind of let them be in their lane. We've seen this so often now throughout M6 where the gold laners just go ahead, they farm up their own, but then they just battle out 1v1. And that's why I think it's such a skill match, too. That lane specifically is where you usually see a lot of just the battles for themselves, 1v1. And we've seen some of the best gold laners come out on top of those exchanges and then, scale into the game, where on the opposing side, you have a little bit of a later start, but already look how many people are up here towards the top side, opposite of the turtle where it's spawning. Not sure if they actually able to find anything from here, but they might force a fight before Falcon rotates down.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that they're all just really focusing up on the XP lane, really waiting for the gold laners to hit their power spike. At the same time, if you clear out the XP lane as fast as possible, it sets you up perfectly for a potential neutral objective takedown, because you have more bodies, you have more zone, and you have more ground coverage, and that's what Team Spirit is looking to do right now, setting themselves up, but 4 members of Falcon Esports are here in the turtle pit.
You're going to get set up for it again. This one, if Falcon can take it, they'll go ahead and even out the turtles. It looks like they're going to get the advantage, though, in terms of the space. It doesn't even look like there wants to be a contest. So that is second turtle of the game going to the hands of Falcon Esports. Really just kind of low action, early game right now as both teams kind of get farmed up and situated. But, Hiko?
They're going to cut off the extra grab, but Hiko manages to flicker out. But he left Sawa alone, has to use the Revitalize. Here comes the passive. It's going to hurt. But Benny says, I don't care. He's going to bring down Sawa. But on the other hand, a counterattack from Team Spirit onto the middle lane. They will take Dax as well.
All right. That's what you have to do. And now this is where the pressure happens. Kid Boma trying to hold his own. He's going to get dived under the turret.
1v1, but he has the Revitalize. He stays alive, and here comes one shot. Royal Milk has to flicker away, doing the Infernal Pursuit, but is it going to be enough, though? In the hands of 2 members of Team Spirit, it's not.
Great choice there by Kid Boma, to go ahead and bait that in. Still had the Revitalize, and then they get the call from One Shot, pick up a kill. So these small things, keeping that gold lead under control, because earlier Falcon Esports was starting to build up towards that 1K, getting it built in. Benny does pick up a BOD now up to this point, and this is where we start to see the tier 1s being focused, and it goes down. So Team Spirit playing into a position where when this next turtle comes up, we'll most likely see them contest it. The last one, they just kind of gave up.
Yeah, Team Spirit actually was the first to take down a tier 1 turret, and it's expected. As long as you have a Bane that has a good start, it's just going to tear down turrets, turret after turret, give enough space for Hiko to eventually reach his power spike and make them reach the 15 or 16-minute mark, even if it reaches that point. So right now, even if Team Spirit just has a 200 gold lead, the lead that they have actually extends to the macro that they can gain, because again, in terms of turret pushes, they're actually ahead compared to Falcon Esports.
Objective up, both already in position, and this is, like I said, you're going to be able to utilize the fact for Team Spirit with this lineup. Now, Hiko, he's only got a Haas Claws right now. He's still working on the second item. Over on the other side, Benny, BOD still locked in. So it'll be Dax that starts things up, and they're going to be zoned out a little bit here in the mid.
Royal Monk doing a good job zoning out one shot. That's why it's an uncontested turtle to take once again for Falcon Esports. Now the question is, how will Team Spirit respond? Because so far, during those turtle takedowns, Team Spirit always had something. If they want to go for the dive, if they want to go for the kills, they'll do so. But right now, Falcon Esports is on track to leading and dominating this game.
I think they just more so know that, oh, hold on, Glorious Pathway to cut off. Are they just going to be able to collapse down? Saul in trouble, too.
Has to walk away now, and Team Spirit, they can already feel the damage coming in from Falcon Esports, the control that KidX is giving with the Glorious Pathway, and they have to respect it soon.
Hang on, this is the point now. You're starting to see the shift. A lot of the times, right, again, gold laners, before this first lord does come up as they work on the tier 1 turrets, where they start to get those second items, you know, and we've seen this matchup quite a bit, but the Beatrix alone, now that you have a Malefic Gun and BOD in Benny, you think this is going to be enough? Because a lot of the fights, Team Spirit actually has an approach. I was expecting them, even on the last turtle, to go and utilize this kind of composition to fight it out, but Hiko even picking up the second item, Berserker's Fury. So, I don't know. Who do you think gets the upper hand here in that first Lord fight?
Honestly, I think it's going to be for the side of Falcon Esports, because so far we haven't seen Kid Bomba popping off. Again, he has a 1-0-1, but in terms of just trying to zone out Benny, he's having a hard time, because again, Benny's positioning is so immaculate. At the same time, but just KidX just forced to use the Glorious Pathway every single time he has an opportunity, forcing Team Spirit to be out of position.
It's a good way to put it, because a lot of the times he's been very proactive with the Glorious Pathway, just kind of cutting off. And that's why, again, there hasn't been, you know, it's a low kill game naturally here, just because there's so much engage and disengage on both sides. And Falcons Esports has to approach the fights in a certain way just because of how much sustainability happens. They might force a fight here. That turret does go down. Kid Bomba still leading the charge. PX7. Oh, look at the shots from Hiko.
But PX7 manages to stay alive. So right now, it's a 1-for-1 turret takedown. First major objective up for grabs. First Lord. It looks like Team Spirit will actually set themselves up perfectly and first in the Lord Pit.
Couple more items being locked in. Lord's going to be started up by one shot this time around. They know that PX7 had to go back to base to reset. I mean, Hiko just taking a couple shots even at the front line. Doing fine, and it's going to go for a little bit of a reset right now. Still held here, but PX7 now part of the fight. Again, they still want to be able to zone this out. Glorious Pathway.
Okay, they're going to start things off, but here comes the Frigid Glacier, going to connect onto 2. Here comes the damage from Team Spirit, but Benny manages to find one. Sunset Lover is going to fall down, but Benny and PX7 has to walk away. It comes from the damage coming in from Team Spirit. No casualties so far except for KidX, but Team Spirit, their double revitalized setup, their innate sustain, manages to keep them alive, and now they're in charge of getting this first Lord.
Lord's going to be secured here by Team Spirit, and what a fight we just saw, because yes, it was the double revitalize, but also just the lockdown again with this Balric pick. And Hiko, man, he has so much room to move. I think that's the biggest advantage that he has right now in this Bruno. Able to just go ahead and move around the map, around the composition that's brought here from Team Spirit. He does just pick up a Malefic Gun too, so now he's got that little bit of extra range to work with to make the positioning even better in his favor. So Benny might have to go ahead and be a little more creative on how he approaches those fights. Oh, he's got good damage too, as you can see there, Sunset Lover taken down below half.
I mean, he has the Blade of Despair already, so a perfect setup from Dax or even just PX7 might do the job and try to take down bodies from Team Spirit. Glorious Pathway is there to try and delay the push of Team Spirit, but looking down bottom, the Lord is marching on for their side.
Yeah, they're going to have to, again, get ready for that defense. Even if Team Spirit decides to force a fight in this area. Oh, Kid Bomba, he's tanky enough. Sawa's just around the corner. They are going to try to cut them off because if they catch them in the choke point in the jungle, they do have somewhat of an advantage to work around with. Tier 2 now being worked on and focused. Still, the push up top can happen here, but this is going to be a quick clear on that Lord. Again, defensively, the high ground defense for Falcon Esports is pretty good. They should be able to clear things out. Maybe even maintain the shields here.
So far, the Crab Claw Cannon has been a menace for the side of Team Spirit. Just making sure to chunk out a huge amount of damage from inside of Falcon Esports before they continue with the engage. And now they're taking away major resources from Falcon Esports. All the outer turrets have been taken down, as well as the purple buff of Falcon Esports.
So they deal with that. Lord already taken, but Team Spirit furthering that gold lead that they built. Rather slow burn, you know, on the gold lead. A lot of times here, the early game gets a lot of action, you know, these fights and battles, but it's more so Falcon Esports just taking the calculated approach. Eventually, Benny is going to be completely online. He's nearly there. Also just picked up recently the Sea Halberd, and that's why we highlighted these two gold laners coming into the game, of course, and just usually when in their matches, we talk a lot about Benny and Pico respectively, as both teams really like to play around them, especially this part. And Royal Milk, essentially too, you know, he's been phenomenal for Falcon Esports, but they're going to rush it down here.
Okay, Glorious Pathway going to be used defensively to try and evade the push coming in from Team Spirit. And I like that you mentioned Royal Milk, because so far, the Phobius pick isn't doing good for them, because again, Renmar even mentioned this, that the lineup of Team Spirit, they don't have that much dashes, so it doesn't activate the passive of the Phobius, and at the same time, it's going to rely on the Spear of Alpha of Dax, or even the Lanterns that are coming in from PX7 to at least activate the demonic force from Royal Milk. And so far, we haven't seen any major engagement from Falcon Esports, or at least for the last couple of minutes. So right now, the pressure is on for Dax and PX7, because Kid X Glorious Pathway is just there. But the problem is, where is the follow-up from Falcon Esports?
Yeah, I think that's why, you know, even in a sense, Dax picked up the Winter Crown. Wanted to go ahead, and he might just be forced in a situation where he has to kind of jump in. PX7, though, taking a little bit here. He is dealing with them with the beacon. Kid Bomba doing this. Look at the shots from Hiko, though. So they'll go ahead again, just trying to get an advantage in terms of health bars right now.
And they know PX7 has to walk away, then there's a Glorious Pathway. Infernal Pursuit is there, but that didn't catch as well. Frigid Glacier hasn't been casted. Oh, it did. But it did not connect to the members of Falcon Esports. Look at Hiko! Forcing Crimson Beacon, but still gets the shot! The one shot he needs to bring down PX7, and again, Team Spirit sets themselves up perfectly for the second Lord.
Man, again, it's Hiko that's getting all the space to work around the team, and you know, just a couple shots, and then next thing you know, you have no health or you're down. That's exactly what happened to PX7. So again, objective secured here as Team Spirit gets ready to go ahead and march in. So for Falcon Esports, still trying to work on how they approach these fights or get through that front line. Maybe the best time for them to do it is within the base on this defense. They can clear it out. Again, that's one of the power plays here that they can utilize the Beatrix. But still, it's going to be kind of difficult because Team Spirit will just most likely siege in forward. When Nature now picked up for Hiko too. Already working on that bottom base turret. Lord charges in, bottom turret down. And now, can they actually go ahead and push in further? Kid Bomba leading the charge alongside Sawo as Hiko just works on that mid turret, waiting for the wave to push in. They didn't manage to push in that top yet just now, so cutting it off with Glorious Pathway, still in the defense.
Oh.
Again, Kid X, look at the damage.
Frigid Glacier connected, almost. Luckily, Kid X had to revitalize, so he's going to stay alive. Minions pushing down bottom, but they were able to clear the mid lane. No additional inhibitor turrets taken down for the side of Falcon Esports.
Next wave's still being worked on. I'm not sure if they are actually able to get more, though. This is, again, Falcon Esports' lineup. We've seen it before where you can actually just continue to defend, deal with this top turret, though, actually going to be forced in and falls now. Finally, Team Spirit one hit away. He will be able to get that from a distance. Still, mid lane being held on as much as it can. But they can't just stop this range. I mean, there's no entry point, really, for Falcon Esports. Even for Hiko, just to sit outside of the range and just knock it down slowly.
Oh, they're having a hard time, but they do have to respect the damage coming in from Benny. One shot has to walk away. They do, however, save their mid lane turret still. But they might go for an attack here. Again, no, Glorious Pathway still on cooldown. And Team Spirit, even though they don't have that much die, they were still able to take down 2 inhibitor turrets with the second level Lord without even suffering any casualties. And actually, that might be a good sign for Falcon Esports, that they know that Team Spirit doesn't have a dive. It's more of a reactive kind of composition with the Frigid Glacier or with the Wrath of Dryad. So if they can push the tempo and find an opening, they can manage to come back from this game.
We'll see if they can actually cap it out for Team Spirit, or if they force a fight, just trying to get a numbers advantage. Again, Kid Bomba
There's the dive.
goes in, but that's the thing, you know, there isn't a clear sign for them unless they can just try to get out some of the Revitalize, or maybe the Glorious Pathway alone. But so far, it's just been kind of the teams really just limit testing each other, and Hiko, if he's able to get a couple shots off, then great. If not, they can just do what they've done, you know, the past 16 minutes. There really hasn't been a situation for Falcon Esports to force that fight just yet, so we might have to look to see if once they get some of the items locked in, get a little more tanky, maybe they can approach it differently.
Okay, so looking at one shot, he wants to go with the damage approach. He wants to match up against Benny, picked up his Blade of Despair as well as the Malefic Roar. So right now, Team Spirit just focusing on taking down this Lord. The Falcon Esports, Kid X can go for the Glorious Pathway play once again, but it's going to be crucial for Dax to hit the Spear of Alpha to the proper targets to activate Royal Milk's passive and then go for the Infernal Pursuit.
Oh, look at that. Even Royal Milk just takes a couple shots, ends up at half health. If Falcon Esports can somehow get an advantage against this Lord, maybe even just steal it away from Team Spirit, that might be their moment, their window of opportunity to go ahead and bring things in their favor, because, again, they have so much space to cover at this point. And it's really showing difficult, like how much even Sunset Lover alone on the Aurora, like you mentioned. There you go.
Kid X from the back with the Glorious Pathway, forcing someone to use their flicker. Sunset Lover, actually. And now there was a major resource expended for the side of Falcon Esports. This might be an opening for Team Spirit. They know that the Glorious Pathway isn't there, but they're still revitalized. Looking at the damage coming in from Hiko, that's going to hurt PX7, forcing PX7 to walk away and be out of position. For Falcon Esports, they know that they have to contest for this Lord, because so far Team Spirit has been approaching the pushes surgically. Royal Milk quite low, and Team Spirit will again go for the Lord.
See, it's almost like Falcon Esports just wants to get these even Revitalizes out if they can, but Team Spirit's doing such a good job at just holding on to it. Again, Glorious Pathway dropped down.
That's how long the Lord dance was. He was able to cast 2 Glorious Pathway. Now Team Spirit executed that to perfection. They didn't go too deep. They didn't go for the over-aggressive approach. They know that they have an advantage when it comes to securing this Lord, and they did that. And this might actually be the final Lord that they need to take down a Falcon Esports. Because again, we're in this 18-minute mark. Hiko has been really activated. They're saving their Revitalize in case they're targeting Hiko. And one shot so far, the damage is going to be enough for him. Just one Crab Claw Cannon can do the job and chunk out a huge amount of health coming in from Falcon Esports.
At this point, they hold on to one turret, but it's going to be gone in a second. Base fully exposed now for Falcon Esports, and Team Spirit slow but steady in this game and just worked through the consistency. Can they end it on this Lord push? Fully locked and loaded. They're going to force the fight. Lord pulled up here towards the top. Glorious Pathway once again.
And Royal Milk goes in with the Infernal Pursuit, just trying to target Hiko, but again, the double Revitalize is there to save him. One shot gets a kill onto Dax, plus a kill onto Royal Milk. On the other hand, PX7 just trying to play along with Kid X. Gets a shutdown onto Hiko. PX7 goes in and pops one shot's immortality.
Wow, so Falcon Esports is going to be able to actually defend against that because they were able to find a Sunset Lover and Hiko. Although their base ended up at half health, but right now, the remaining members aren't going to be able to actually cap out the game, so Falcon Esports staying into it almost at the 20-minute mark. This is now territory where we start to see the item swap come into place too. Rose Gold now picked up for a Benny. Divine Glaive for PX7 too. Hold on.
Oh, they're not going to wait for Hiko. They want to go for it. They have minions. Here comes the Benny. Oh, but Team Spirit secures game 1.
Didn't know if they'd be able to end it there, but hey, they did. They didn't need the mid or the gold. They'll just go for it. Brute force their way in, and Team Spirit does it in a very consistent fashion too. Again, a game that didn't have too many fights that we're used to seeing, you know, just duking it out, brawling it out, but this one was very methodical, the approach here for Team Spirit.
Disciplined, surgical, against a team like Falcon Esports who took Fnatic Onyx Philippines to 5 straight games. Wow.